Alright, I got like 30 minutes till my food's done, so yeah, till then I'm gonna do a reaction video on this video called The Entire Liminal Space Iceberg Explained. Yeah, let's just begin with that. I don't care, I just want to react. Alright.
I've always been fascinated with liminal spaces.
Is it even loud? I don't know. Wait.
I can look at them endlessly. They'll never bore me. I suppose liminal space is the time between the what was and the next. It is a place of transition, waiting and not knowing. Liminal space is where all transformation takes place, if we learn to wait and let it form us. Let's look at an example.
Yeah, I'm actually very much nostalgic for
wrong
these
with
kinds
this
of
picture?
things, so
well, no,
that's
it is an
why I
ordinary
also
house.
want to
You
do
or
this
I
video,
could live
actually.
here. Here's another interior of a house, but this is way different than the first one.
Yeah.
Is there something wrong here? Not in particular, but it is a great example
Still,
of a liminal
the
space.
staircase is weird.
What makes this photo liminal and the first one not? I think it is the fact that you can immediately sense that something is off about this picture.
Yeah, the staircase.
Have you maybe been here before? It might be the lighting, the quality of the photo, the lack of furniture, or even the angle from which this photo is taken.
Yeah.
Living in this house would be cool and all, but seems lonely. If only you had a way to distract yourself. Wait, what's that I'm seeing? The greatest mobile game of all time?
God damn it.
That's right.
A fucking ad in an ad? Seriously? Alright, so where were we? Yeah.
No, I just told you one. I would argue that there's no true definition to what a liminal space exactly is. This means that not every picture or place you will find on here is going to be truly liminal for your senses, as liminal spaces are very personal. Not everyone will feel the same way or the same kind of nostalgia, but I'm sure there is something in here for everyone. The feeling of liminality is one where you sense that you should not be looking at it, as it is weird, uncanny, disturbing, unsettling, nostalgic, or ominous. I know those are a lot of different feelings, but you will come to find out which one you will feel. So have fun, get yourself a drink, and without further ado, I present to you the Liminal Space Iceberg. Oh, and by the way, if you want to join my cool Discord server, the link is in the description. The Backrooms. Ah yes, the most famous example of them all, the Backrooms.
That one?
This is a fictional universe that consists out of multiple levels that are usually made up out of liminal space photos. The Backrooms started with just one photo, and you probably have seen it before. This photo created a whole lore and eventually more and more levels, and thus creating an infinite large universe of different levels that are all driven by nostalgia and the weird feeling that a liminal space conveys. The Backrooms didn't invent liminal spaces, but it did ignite the spark the concept needed.
Wait. In all honesty, like, I don't think that the Backrooms even started the liminal space thing. Like, I think the cartoons, the backgrounds of the cartoons started it all. The uneasiness with the time, you know, became the liminal space era then. Like, I don't know, did that make sense? Does that make sense for you? I don't know, let's just continue.
The lobby. The lobby is another name for the famous Backrooms level, known as level 0. This photo is so important because it's the ultimate liminal space. I remember seeing this photo for the first time and the eerie feelings it gave me. Every true liminal space that you see is in some way similar to this photo. The lobby and the Backrooms have recently experienced a heavy incline in popularity due to cane pixels.
Oh yeah, by the way, this lobby was recently found. There are a lot of videos about it, and I'm definitely gonna do after this video a reaction to those videos. So yeah, if you like this video, then please also give it a like and subscribe. But of course, be patient for the other videos that are gonna come out in a couple of weeks. Right now I'm doing a lot of videos and it just takes time. But be prepared for those videos because I'm definitely gonna do reaction to those videos as well.
Amazing ARG series, mostly set in the lobby. If you're a fan of the Backrooms or liminal spaces and you have not seen this, I highly suggest that you check this out.
That thing
I know the Backrooms is a lot of lore, but none of it will ever level what this image and short story did. It is the feeling of getting lost, entering a dimension you cannot escape, as it is essentially endless. It is very hard to replicate this feeling, but once you've captured it, you know you're onto something. Released in 1996, Mario 64 remains one of the most famous games in history, and for good reason. Not only is the gameplay amazing, it is also very revolutionary for its
like
time,
I said
as it
before,
was the first
it's
ever
mostly
game
the
to feature
games
a
and the
camera that could be
cartoons
controlled by the player.
that start the liminal
Mario
space
64
era.
feels nostalgic, but can also be very liminal.
Yeah.
This liminal feeling really lies in the aesthetics of the game. Nintendo just started working with 3D engines at the time, and it gave the game a very strange look. Stills from it looked lonely and empty, but also familiar. The atmosphere is very unique.
By the way, this room's not in the game. This is like AI.
Albeit there are toads and hostile enemies, but the game is very lonely to its core. You explore this empty castle filled with paintings, and you don't really seem to encounter that many creatures at all. I think that this concept in particular is where Super Mario 64 becomes somewhat eerie, as it almost seems to hold some kind of dark atmosphere sometimes. Look at Wet Dry World, for example, a generally hated level in the game. Something about it feels extremely off, but you cannot tell what it is. The feeling you feel of this level can definitely be described as liminal. You're not supposed to be here, and you feel like something is wrong.
I like this map.
Even though this feeling was probably never intentional, it works. Liminal space image compilations. I see these compilations popping up time from time. These videos are usually called strangely familiar places with unnerving music or something along those lines. And that is pretty much all it is. The videos show you liminal spaces and play eerie music under them that adds to the sense of familiarity or strangeness. I absolutely adore these kind of videos. See how you feel after watching this. Liminal spaces recreated in Minecraft. Minecraft is great for making and recreating liminal spaces. It is safe to say that all the famous liminal space photos have at one point been recreated in Minecraft. You can very easily manipulate and change the lighting, resulting in a game being able to create the best ambience for a liminal space. Minecraft is also a nostalgic game, so that helps naturally. I would argue that with its current assets, Minecraft is the best sandbox game for recreating or creating liminal spaces. The End. Another very famous example of a classic liminal space. The End is often used in the Backrooms lore, with an interesting story behind the place. The End represents an empty library with the letter spelling "the end is near." This photo is in fact real and is taken in a border bookstore located in Orange County, California. The end is creepy because it pretty much represents the end of a human era.
Why would they even
Bookstores
put it
are becoming
there?
a thing of the past, making this image and place look instantly nostalgic. Interestingly enough, this picture was probably taken before the original Backrooms picture. r/liminal space. A great place for finding photos like this is r/liminal spaces. New liminal photos are posted here very often, and this is also where you will find the most famous liminal spaces. Lurking Danger. Lurking Danger might not sound very recognizable, but you might as well know it as level 1 of the Backrooms.
This is the second level.
This image
to
has such an interesting
Backrooms
atmosphere.
game.
We've all been in such a space, as Lurking Danger seems to be a hallway inside a garage. It is called Lurking Danger because something feels very off. Maybe someone or something is standing around the corner. Chairs. Chairs create an interesting dynamic when it comes to liminal spaces, because these photos often contain chairs in weird places.
Do they? I mean, do they really?
Empty chairs in an empty and usually bad-lit room are creepy. Look at this empty presentation room, for instance. This is usually not how you will experience this room, and that is exactly what makes it weird.
I think the room's more creepy than the chairs.
The Caretakers are a well-known musician that creates ambient and experimental music. You might know the Caretaker from his album Everywhere at the End of Time. It's nostalgic, but also weirdly distorted. If you've ever listened to this, or perhaps the most famous part, It's Just a Burning Memory, you might know what I mean by that. Everywhere at the End of Time and other work by the Caretaker is often used in relation to liminal spaces, especially in the Liminal Spaces compilations. Music by the Caretaker is a great addition to the eeriness of these photos. Lack of people. Take The Office for instance, a very upbeat and funny show. If you were to remove all people, you will get something like this. This photo has a very liminal feeling to it, if you ask me. If you were to strip down an office like this from all its furniture, you would get something like this. A lack of people really demonstrates the kind of uncomfortable feeling a liminal space pursues.
Yeah, it really gets uncomfortable.
It might be related to Canopsia, which is a weird atmosphere of a place that is usually bustling with people, but now is abandoned. Canopsia has a feeling and seems to be closely related to the liminal space phenomenon. We might be more prone to this feeling because of the recent lockdown. Think of empty streets, squares, malls, and airports. If you are trying to make liminal space photos, maybe try to chase this
I
weird
saw
feeling,
some
as it
pictures when
might
the
lead you
lockdown
to them.
happened and the streets really were looking like
Elegiac
that.
auras. Something that is elegiac expresses or
back.
shows sadness. Most pictures in this iceberg contain elegiac auras, as their presence provokes a saddening or even dark feeling. Places you have been to while you're young, something you might have explored endlessly.
Oh yeah,
These
I know some
elegiac
places
auras
that look like
exist
that.
because you're looking at a place that gave you a feeling you will never experience again. Anemoia. Anemoia is a nostalgia for a time you've never known. When looking at these photos, you might experience this weird feeling. Many people tend to feel nostalgic, even though they never actually visited
Looks like
the place.
my grandma's place.
Anemoia might be caused by normal nostalgia, as our memory is usually very inaccurate. Who knows, it might also be past life experiences. Flooded subway station. The flooded subway station photo might have triggered a very interesting aesthetic for liminal spaces, as it contains water in a place where there isn't supposed to be water. The photo was taken in a subway in Hamamatsu, Japan. The water in the photo was supposedly very clean, further playing into the weirdness of this flooded subway station. Sanatorium in Gul. This is an amazing picture, as this pool feels very dreamlike. The water is almost green and the whole atmosphere is just very eerie. This is, however, a real place, as people have recently found out where this pool is located. A Redditor first suggested that it might be a swimming pool inside a submarine, which as it turns out is a real thing. It became later clear that this is a pool located in Ukraine and serves as a spa in a hotel. Washington Square Mall. One place you will always definitely encounter liminal spaces in is a dead mall. This photo was taken in a dead mall located in Indiana, and this photo is believed to be from what once was a children's museum. The original photo has 80s vibes all over it, and the weirdly placed squares on the floor make me feel very weird.
By the way, before we go on, like, am I the only one who gets sad by looking at dead malls? Like, it's quite sad to see these malls, like, being closed down. Like, especially since the lockdown happened, a lot of malls were closed down since they couldn't financially be kept alive. So yeah, it's quite sad to look at these. I don't know. Tell me in the comments if you also get sad by looking at these somehow.
Imagine your house, but without any furniture, just empty interior. How does this look to you? Seeing your house like this might make you feel uncomfortable or even empty. You're not used to seeing this place like this, you used to live here. Photos like this are really interesting to me, as a house devoid of furniture fits the original description of a liminal space perfectly. It is a transitional space, and you're not really supposed to look at it. Looking at images like this really makes you appreciate the fact that we humans are able to make lonely places feel comfortable, or less uncomfortable, for that matter.
Come on, another ad? Seriously?
Abandoned buildings. The original Backrooms photo probably came from an abandoned office building, so you can see why this entry is up here. An abandoned building is a place that once was sprawling with life and now just holds the memories of what once was. It is both that feeling and a creeping unknowingness at work. If you ever find yourself in an abandoned building, try to take some cool photos. 154 Freston RD, Notting Hill, London. This location probably won't remind you of anything, so let's take a look on Google Maps.
Not this place.
Does this seem any familiar to you? It might, as this is where the music video for Rick's Astley Never Gonna Give You Up was shot. Now let's take this picture from the music video and remove Rick Astley from it. We now have a very nostalgic liminal space. This picture is honestly so weird to me. Everyone has seen this before, but it feels so out of place to look at it without a dancing Rick Astley. Toys R Us. Toys R Us was a popular American toy retailer that had many stores all over the world. Toys R Us unfortunately declared bankruptcy in 2017 and closed most of its stores in 2018.
Yeah, looking at stores
the closing
like
of these stores resulted in a lot of cool liminal spaces, and most famously, this one. Pipe Dreams refers to a myriad of photos, usually taken in an empty or abandoned factory, that are commonly associated with Backrooms lore. These liminal spaces usually depict a space with very colorful and weird looking pipes. What makes this surreal is that the fact that it feels like a playground, an environment made for children, but it's actually an industrial area instead. Out of business. Imagine a vibrant restaurant like the Krusty Krab or the Chum Bucket. If there was a SpongeBob episode where both of these restaurants would close down and get repurposed, it would look something like this. These pictures were posted on r/liminal space under a post named Out of Business. A show like SpongeBob is very nostalgic for many people, so removing all of its exterior certainly creates a feeling of liminality. This is combined with the fact that there is nothing in the background and the sky is just different shades of blue.
Oh yeah, I haven't noticed
Single
the
player
empty
Gary's
sky.
mod.
Wow.
A regular comment underneath liminal space posts is that the photo taken looks like a screenshot from the game Gary's Mod. Gary's Mod is a sandbox game that was released in 2006 by Valve and remains popular to this day. There are a lot of mods within the game that perfectly create many famous liminal spaces, such as the living room, the courtyard, or the end. Besides this, Gary's Mod itself feels very liminal when you play it alone. The game
It's
is
mostly
obviously
because of
meant
the
to be played with many
textures,
people,
because
just
textures
to mess around in and have
that
some
Valve
fun.
use in their games
Playing and
are
walking
taken
around in
from
these
real
worlds
life.
alone feels very
basically.
odd. Gmod also has many empty dark rooms, which helps.
Yeah.
Bo Burnham Inside. Many of you will be familiar with Bo Burnham's latest special called Inside. Inside was recorded during the COVID-19 pandemic, making it feel very interesting. The room Bo recorded his special in feels liminal without him because of the setting and lighting. The Oval Office between US presidents. The Oval Office without any furniture or the desk looks very weird. This photo is pretty awesome in my opinion, as you rarely see
still looks
anything
like a
from the
meeting
White
room
House
to
without
me.
any furniture. I also
Looks
like
like a
how the
special
quality of this
room.
photo is kinda low and how it perfectly clean the floor is. The floor almost makes this photo feel like a still from a Kubrick movie. Deja vu area. This refers to a photo taken inside an elevator with a poster that reads the following. Deja vu area. This is your first time here. If this platform feels familiar, immediately alert an MTA employee. If you see something, say something.
If I ever
This
saw
image
that
and
would
poster
scare
triggers
the
a
shit
weird
out of
feeling.
me.
If you feel like this poster is SCP related, you are right. It turns out that this is a screen cap from the game Control, an SCP based game. You might have seen this poster before though.
Never seen it,
Malls.
to be honest.
Malls and dead malls will always be an essential place for liminal spaces.
But still looks cool.
People also obsess over dead malls, as the photos they produce are so odd. r/dead malls has a lot of these photos, and most of them are liminal. A mall is supposed to be crowded, filled with people going about their day. Seeing them like this gives you the weirdest feeling. Grocery store. This refers to a quite well-known photo of a grocery store that was presumably taken at night or after closing time. As it turns out, this photo was taken in 2019 by a Reddit user and was posted on r/mildly interesting. The photo is of a fake grocery that is located in a refrigeration unit factory in order to test its products. The liminal space photo is cropped, as the original has a man standing in it on the left. All the food you see in the picture is fake. Even though this grocery store is fake, it feels very real and nostalgic. We have all been in an empty grocery store at night before, and it's just so calming or unsettling for some weird reason. No wonder why this photo is such a popular liminal space. Liminal space related fears. In most instances, liminal spaces are not viewed in a positive light because they propose a feeling of dread. The most common fear associated with this phenomenon is the fear of the unknown.
Oh my god.
The only thing you see is a single picture that usually has a story behind it. This story is however unknown. Why is this mall abandoned, or why does this place feel so odd? If you think about it, the whole Backrooms creepypasta was entirely based on this fear. The Backrooms started with a simple, standalone creepy picture that told a simple but scary story. The picture and the text was all we had, and the rest was just imagination. Kinophobia is the fear of voids or empty spaces. Most liminal spaces contain large empty spaces or even lack any objects. An empty hallway or a building that doesn't have furniture might produce feelings of kinophobia. Another very common fear these photos produce is anxiety. Uneasy would be the perfect word to describe it. It is the uneasiness that some liminal spaces produce that makes it so great.
Place.
We were never supposed to see places like this. Liminal space edits. Not every liminal space is a picture of a real place. Some photos might be edited, CGI, ray traced, or even paintings.
Still, that looks
Some people
cool.
believe that all liminal spaces have to be real places, but I believe almost every form of media can be liminal in a way. It is very interesting how most real liminal spaces contain almost no nature. CGI-based liminal spaces can contain nature, as they feel and look fake already. Shuki. Shuki is an awesome YouTuber that explains and explores both the history and meaning behind many popular liminal spaces. He has covered many
Never heard of him.
photos such as the Rainbow Funhouse, liminal space pools, and many more. I highly recommend you check out his channel if you enjoy liminal spaces, because his videos are very high in quality. Buffer test. I love this entry because many people can relate to this one, no matter where you're from. The buffer test is known as a test to measure the ability of focus of your eyes.
Yeah.
The patient is supposed to look into a diagnostic machine that will display one of two pictures, one with a field of crops, with a house at the end, and one with a long road that has an air balloon in the end. These two places look pretty weird and liminal. They both look calming and obviously carry a logical sense of nostalgia with them, because unlike most liminal spaces, you actually have seen these before. The Stanley Parable. The Stanley Parable is a video game released in 2013 that has been described as one giant liminal space by many. It is a first-person exploration game that feels very
Never
weird
played
and
it,
off.
but I'd like to in
You
the
play as
future.
Stanley, a silent office worker who one day discovers that everyone from the building has disappeared. The Stanley Parable always feels like the first ever Backrooms game, before the Backrooms were even a thing. You explore many weird and empty rooms with many doors that lead to the next. Even though the Stanley Parable is not a horror game, it might be unsettling for some. DashCon. DashCon was a fan convention in 2014 for the blogging platform Tumblr.
God.
This entry refers to a famous photo of a ball pit that was
Do
taken
you see that
in the
Bojack in the
convention.
background?
DashCon turned out to be a disaster, especially after many of the anticipated live readings were cancelled. Many people demanded to get their money back, but this could not be done. Instead of refunding, the hosts promised the attendees 1 extra hour in the ball pit. This story and photo became a meme and is now recognized as a liminal space. The ball pit looks so weird and misplaced, making this image a perfect example of a liminal space, combined with the nostalgia this photo might give you. I Spy. You might remember the I Spy books, a franchise of children's books with image-based riddles. The objective is to find certain objects in these images, and as it turns out, some of these images turn out to be quite liminal. One of these images got really popular on Reddit and is actually pretty comforting if you ask me. First photo ever taken. I'm pretty sure you've seen this picture before. This is known as the first photograph ever made, taken in 1826, titled The View from the Window at Le Gras. The process for performing such a haunting task took about 8 hours. Interestingly enough, this photo is considered a classic liminal space. The picture obviously lacks nostalgia, but it ultimately has a certain weirdness, but also some kind of magic to it. The picture is quite grainy, but we can make out buildings, a field, a tree, and the sky. Many people believe that the content of the first ever picture doesn't even matter. It would have always been liminal, no matter the location or the objects it was taken of. The Glover Room. You might know Scott the Woz as a very cool video game essay YouTuber. A recurring joke on his channel is that of the Glover Room, which is described as a room in his apartment. This room is said to contain a copy of the Nintendo 64 game Glover, a game that Scott has never played. This photo appears to be pretty liminal. It is an abandoned building of some sorts, but other than that, there's not that much to it. Photos of Corinthia Hotel. This refers to photos of the Corinthia Hotel in Khartoum, the capital of Sudan. One cool photo of the hotel is taken from one of the top floors of the building, looking down onto the lobby. This gives a weird feeling,
eerie.
almost similar to the courtyard of windows. Other photos on the website just seem like expensive hotel rooms, so nothing very liminal. Greatest freakout ever bedroom. Do you remember this picture? Chances are you've seen it before, because it is the bedroom in the famous viral YouTube video titled The Greatest Freakout Ever. The video, uploaded in 2009, depicts a guy secretly recording his brother after he found out that his mother suspended his World of Warcraft account. This video is
By the way,
something,
these
but let's
videos
focus
are
on this
fake.
bedroom for
Like,
now.
they
Pretty
were
liminal,
fake,
if you ask me.
but still,
You've probably seen
these
this
people
bedroom
got
before,
infamous
but
in
if you
their schools
haven't,
and
you'll
got
probably still
bullied.
feel weird.
Like there's a German
Super
kid that
liminal.
got bullied
This
because of
entry
this.
refers to an underrated indie game called Superliminal. Superliminal is described as a first-person puzzle game based on forced perspective and optical illusions. Like the Stanley Parable, its atmosphere is based around the feeling of loneliness and emptiness. The game itself is beautiful and has some very interesting looking rooms. Nintendo 2DS camera. The 2DS or 3DS camera won't make photos with the best quality, but as it turns out, this quality is perfect for photographing liminal spaces. Look at this cool photo of a bedroom. The aesthetic of the 2DS camera is great and very interesting looking. The pool rooms. The pool rooms could be described as
maybe
a
I should become
subgenre
a
in the liminal space community after it gained a
photographer.
lot of popularity. It all started with a Backrooms
Oh yeah, I
level
like
known as
these
the pool
pool
rooms,
rooms.
which is essentially
These
an
are
infinite maze of
amazing.
these CGI-made pools. The aesthetic of these pools is amazing, as it is
Yeah.
a beautiful array of clear blue water and white square
Oh yeah,
tiles,
this is an infamous
similar to the
photo.
ones you would find in real pools. Liminal spaces containing pools were popular before the discovery of the pool rooms, but I believe that this is the best iteration there will ever
Is
be.
that one real?
The photos are obviously computer made and thus fake,
Nah,
but they're
yeah.
not fake enough. It makes the pool rooms feel uncanny, but not unfamiliar. This is because most pools do in fact look like this, but are more open and have way more color. Swimming pools that kinda look like this do exist, especially this one in a German hotel. The
Yeah,
pool
in Germany
rooms
there
will bring
are
us
a
to
lot
Jared
of
Pike,
pool
an
rooms
artist
like
that
these.
creates imaginary liminal interiors with CGI. Jared was the one to make the original pool room photos, and they look amazing. All of Jared's art feels like something from out of a dream. Empty Kmart. When a Kmart closes down, it looks pretty sad and empty. This is a place that used to be very lively,
isn't it
filled
just
with
like the
people
empty
buying and looking
stores?
for many products in a large store. Pictures like this show us how
This is a
important
specific
furniture and
topic you're
atmosphere is
talking
for a
about
place
right
to be
now, I
lively.
feel.
If you strip something from both, you will get a depressing but real picture. VR Chat Liminal Worlds. VR Chat is weird.
Yeah,
I've
typical.
never played or experienced it, but the worlds inside the game feel very strange. The quality of some worlds is pretty high, but unfortunately, not many worlds are
Yeah,
appreciated
some worlds
in the
are
way they
creepy
should
as
be.
fuck.
People put hours of work in trying to make a fun and cool place, just to find out that no one is showing up. The game is filled with these environments, places that seem and feel abandoned, that will forever exist in the cloud. Exploring these places can be
That
fun,
looks
as you will
That
never know
actually
what you will
looks cool,
find.
like it goes down still.
Leaf
Wow.
Waterworld. Leaf Waterworld was an indoor pool in Edinburgh, Scotland that closed down in January 2012.
Oh yeah, I
This
heard
used to be a
about
fun
this.
place, but feels weird now.
They
There's
tried to
actually a
reopen
virtual
it as
version of the
well, I
Waterworld,
think.
created in Gmod. This mod is actually one of the most popular maps because of the odd feeling it produces. The closing of Leaf Waterworld wasn't without protest, because many people wanted it to stay, with some even trying to bid on the place in order to buy it. It still ended up closing and was replaced with a soft play area in 2013. The Waterworld still lives on, but only in a virtual way. LSD Dream Emulator.
Oh yeah,
This is a game
one.
that is advertised as a playable dream. It is an adaptation of a dream diary that was released in 1998. This game is pretty rare, as it is very limited in its availability. Dream Emulator was never formally released in the US, only selling a
Like
few
this is a
rare
game
copies
that
on
is not
secondary
actually a
markets
game,
for
but
high
still
prices.
was sold on the
Interestingly,
PS1.
the obscurity of the game seems to build a cult following. It is not impossible to get this game, but if you were to buy it on eBay, you might have to spend $900, if not more. The aesthetic of the game is very cool.
Yeah,
The game
most
was
of the
released for the
people just play
PlayStation
the
1, but it
revamped
doesn't
version
look like your
now.
typical PlayStation 1 game. The graphics make it that you can basically screenshot anything in this game and you will have a liminal space. Just look at these amazing examples. No Players Online. No Players Online is a pretty well-known
Oh yeah, I
ARG,
played this one.
and it's very cool to play. The ARG plays like an old VHS Quake-style game on an
I
old television.
played this one once.
It feels weird
I
and
never got
disturbing because
far. Like
You're the only
I don't
one
know,
in
there
the
were
server,
many
but
codes
you're
that you
still
had to
playing
enter
Capture
to
the
get
Flag.
far.
This game is extremely disturbing.
And the
as
story
some-
was kind of
Something like this happens in real life
don't
as
know,
well,
I didn't
as
understand the
nothing
story
truly
as well.
lasts forever. Games and servers will always die out, no matter how many people are playing it.
Jesus,
This
there's
feeling
so much buffering here. Wait, let's move on.
do so. Omega Mart. Omega Mart is an interactive art installation created by the company Meow
Oh
Wolf,
yeah, I
and
heard
it is
of this.
located
Is
in
it
Las
still
Vegas.
open?
It is this weird but super interesting supermarket with various cool areas. Omega Mart actually has a narrative, and clues to the plot are spread throughout the whole project. Omega Mart could be described as the real version of the Liminal grocery store. The inside
Look
looks
at
something
this,
like from a
wow.
dream. It shouldn't be real, but it is.
Alright, level 4.
The Truman Show. The
Oh
Truman Show
yeah,
feels oddly
this
liminal.
one.
It deals with existentialism and surrealism, and it does this quite perfectly. The ending to the movie is, in my opinion, as close as it gets to a liminal space, as it gives this weird and unsettling vibe, as there is a fake horizon. Not only is this still liminal, but it also conveys the feeling humanity can perceive sometimes. We don't know whether
Was
we're
that
all in
window
some
in
kind
the
of Truman Show,
movie?
and maybe this
didn't
is what the
know.
edge of our universe looks like,
Like
just a
that
door
door
to
was
another
definitely
world.
there, but not the window.
Images taken from Jones Barbecue and Foot Massage Hut. Do you remember Jones Barbecue and Foot Massage? I
Nope.
sure do. For those who don't, this was a sketch commercial released in 2009 that promotes Jones and his weird barbecue restaurant, where he will fry literally anything and also gives foot massages with barbecue sauce.
Ew.
If you have not seen this video, please check it out for yourself, as it belongs to internet history. This video is quite nostalgic for some, and this photo is pretty liminal if you ask me. The weird 90s VHS aesthetic really makes you feel that way. Rooms by the Sea. Rooms by the Sea is a painting made by Edward Hopper in 1951. Hopper's art feels realistic but abstract at the same time. This perspective is unusual because it looks like we're in the middle of the sea, as if we're surrounded by it. This does not have to be the case, but I feel like it is. For some reason the sea seems inviting, which is weird. Torquay Rainbow Funhouse. One place infested with liminality is the Rainbow Funhouse. This place screams nostalgia, and it has bright colors, slides, bridges, and other
didn't this
funhouse
specific
attributes that are
place,
all extremely familiar. The
Wasn't this
funhouse
specific
opened its
place
doors in
burned
2001
down?
inside an old converted church.
Yeah, this was
The
burned
funhouse
down,
closed in
if I'm not
2017,
wrong.
where it became an eerie abandoned play area. Urban explorers loved this place, as the whole area remained inside the church, showing a lifeless area that was once full of children. The church caught on fire in 2019,
Yep.
which caused serious damage to 80% of the church. This place still exists today, but it is changed for good. The entire play area has been removed, as well as the paint.
Yeah, now it looks more creepy.
Minecraft Alpha. Not many games get as nostalgic as Minecraft. The very first available version of Minecraft released May 17, 2009. Images from the early alpha version are extremely nostalgic, as it shows us a forgotten past. Minecraft is still being played, but today's version is vastly different than the early version. It used to be very simple, an experimental game, just to turn into a huge phenomenon. I advise you to walk around in earlier versions of Minecraft just to feel like what it was like. Boy, Minecraft feels more like an experience than a game. Barnyard
By the
Game
way,
Barn.
I just wanted to ask you guys, like, is it for you as well hard, like, when you want to replay the old versions of Minecraft? Like, I tried to go back to the old versions, and I never, like, understood the concepts of the old versions. Like, there were some weird concepts in the old versions, in the beta versions of Minecraft, and God, like, it must have been hard to go back to these old versions, right?
AI-generated liminal spaces. Today's artificial intelligence-related technology can become pretty advanced. There's a cool phenomenon called AI-generated art, which are all art pieces that are generated by a program that learned a specific aesthetic by analyzing thousands of different images. AI-generated art can look extremely compelling because the AI can truly understand what makes or breaks the aesthetic. It doesn't stop with art, as AI is now able to also make liminal spaces. These photos look very interesting, but I feel like it definitely has not reached its full potential. This also brings us to the phenomenon of fake liminal spaces,
Oh wow, it
photos
looks
that
like
were
it's
not taken in our
underwater.
real world. Fake liminal spaces might have more potential than real ones, as the decor is not limited by our world. Geometric Lullaby Pink Album. There's always been a certain indescribable feeling with album covers. Cover art
yeah.
usually has a lot of meaning behind it, and it tries to tell a story. The Pink album might not be very well known, but the cover art is very interesting, and so is its content. The blurry look and the abundance of pink give off this very weird feeling. It feels like the photo was taken in some sort of abandoned mall. The music from this album really complements this art as it holds the same feeling. Fun Zone. Indoor play areas are, in my opinion, a very important part of the Liminal Space collection. Abandoned, empty, or both, they trigger a kind of nostalgia and uncanniness. The so-called Fun Zone in New York has spawned a cool liminal space that looks like this. The thing with all these fun zones is that they all look like each other, as their layout and color palette is the same. Even if you weren't specifically there at one point in your life, you have visited a place similar to this. Rock Bottom.
Have you ever went
This
to the
is
fun
known as
zones
a quite
in IKEA?
unsettling but
Those
also
are
very
weird.
well written episode of SpongeBob. SpongeBob and Patrick board a bus to home from Glove World, a glove-themed amusement park. They accidentally take the wrong bus and end up in a weird place called Rock Bottom, where they are met by a 90-degree cliff. Rock Bottom is inhabited by strange deep-sea animals, and as expected, very liminal. This place is located in the abyssopelagic zone in the ocean, which means bottomless in Greek. The abyssopelagic zone is where you will find extreme and total darkness, as this zone starts after descending 4,000 meters or 30,000 feet into the ocean. This idea is extremely scary and very well portrayed in this SpongeBob episode. Dark Hallway. This is another CGI/edited picture, as it looks very uncanny. This picture was uploaded by user
Looks like the
GreyColor42
X8
on
game,
DeviantArt without any context,
which I still
other than
need
the
to
programs
play.
he used for making this picture. The feeling these images convey is quite special, as this really make you feel like you're lost. This could be the hallway of a metro station, but could also be in a hospital or a swimming pool. Gabrielle Salanga. If you want to see beautiful and dreamlike art, you should look up Gabrielle Salanga.
Oh wow.
She is a photographer, filmmaker, and 3D artist who's well known for her digital CGI art. The art she creates feels like it's ripped straight out of a dream, containing a lot of pink and purple color schemes, and usually containing big fluffy clouds. There's something so
This
deeply
one gives
calming
me
about art
anxiety,
like this.
actually. What the
If I
hell?
were to close my eyes and were to imagine what heaven looks like, these images might come close. Gabriella's goal is to let the viewer experience a kind of escapism, as her art represents and implies
does,
peacefulness and tranquility. All of her artwork is based on her own dreams. Walton Files backgrounds. The Walton Files is a quite popular ARG made by Martin Walls. It consists out of found footage that looks like it is inspired from Five Nights at Freddy's. The Walton Files tells the story of a man named Anthony who finds a collection of VHS tapes by the Bunny Smiles company. This company is responsible for Bond's Burgers, a place that has many strange occurrences in the ARG. In Martin Walls' video, The Mysterious Houses, we see a myriad of backgrounds that look very fake. It is especially the one
yet
that looks like a
familiar,
neighborhood during
yeah.
Halloween that looks weird. This background looks familiar, as if you've seen it in a real kids show before.
Yeah.
Jandek album covers. Jandek is somewhat of a cult artist who releases weird and experimental music. What is interesting about Jandek is that a lot of his music is played with an out-of-tune guitar. This entry refers to his cover art for his album Ready for the House, released in 1978. This is an exquisite album cover and is obviously a liminal space. It might remind you of your grandma's house, as this seems to resemble the interior
kind
of a
of does,
1970s
yeah.
American house. Foodland. This image is filled with sadness. This closed down store and possibly abandoned grocery store looks like something from out of a post-apocalyptic movie. I would argue that this is a very underrated liminal space, as this is both so simple and unsettling
Doesn't
at the
look
same
like
time.
It looks more
I
like a
kinda want to
Gmod
enter this
map.
building, as the interior might hold some secrets. Crinkly Bottom Theme Park. Crinkly Bottom was a British-based theme park
yeah,
that
I heard of
operated in the
this.
1990s. It was based on a TV series called Noel's House Party that was in a large house in a fictional village. The park only lasted from 1994 to 1997 and is now nothing but remains of what once was a lively park made for kids. What is left of the park looks very interesting, as many houses and small buildings are still intact, overgrown by nature. The theme park has been dubbed as a very scary abandoned amusement park because of the decay and rust the structures have been exposed to. Liminal spaces recreated in Roblox. Another great sandbox game used to recreate liminal spaces is Roblox. A myriad of famous and classical liminal spaces have been recreated, both successfully and unsuccessfully. Your last stop. This image has definitely gained some popularity in the liminal space subreddit. I like this picture because we have all been in this situation before.
Yeah.
You're on a road trip or a long car drive at night as a kid, and then you stop at a gas station in what feels like the middle of nowhere. This is quite literally the feeling this image evokes, but without the snow. This to me looks very comforting and reminds me of good times, even though it looks kinda cold.
Kind of does, yeah.
Everyone is gone TikTok. This is a TikTok-based ARG about a man who is supposedly stuck in an empty Home Depot. He believes that he has found himself in the Backrooms, but proves himself wrong by eventually escaping the store.
ARG,
even though he's outside, he cannot seem to find anyone, but also knows that he's not completely alone. He then proceeds to go home, finds out that his pets are still alive, and survives for a while. The final TikTok supposedly shows him filming while laying down, with a bright light shining in our face. The Morse code in the description tells us, every good story must come to an end. I'm not gonna lie, this is not that good of an ARG. The idea is interesting, but unfortunately overused at this point. An abandoned Home Depot will have some liminal properties, but this does not capture that. That hurt. You might know this meme. It was a man falling through the roof of a building and then casually greets his co-worker while lying on the floor as if nothing happened. This liminal space we're looking at shows the store before this incident. The image is calming because I like the simple design the store has. There are not that many liminal spaces seen through a security camera, but this image proves that something like that can definitely work. The last day of Target. I like Target. It has everything, is convenient and just feels nice. What you might not know is that Canada used to have Target stores, but those failed and closed down in 2015. Target actually lost $1 billion in Canada because of empty store shelves, high prices, and poor customer satisfaction. What we have here is a photo that is known as the
Canada
last
has
day
a
of
high
Target.
pricing problem.
It looks sad and empty, and it is missing all its furniture, shelves, products, and people. Its purpose was to resemble a big store filled with people shopping, a kind of comforting place. When we remove those attributes, this is what we're left with. Bedroom in Arles by Van Gogh. There is no doubt in saying that Van Gogh is truly one of the greatest and most diverse artists that has ever lived. His art is amazingly detailed and really shows his own perceived reality. When looking at the timeline of his art, you can see the art of a man whose mental health keeps declining, leading to a dark end. This obviously happened in the end and deems important to Van Gogh's legacy to this day. You might be familiar with a few of his most famous artworks, such as A Starry Night, The Potato Eaters, Café Terrace at Night, or Sunflowers. One artwork in particular, the bedroom, always seems to return when Van Gogh is talked about. Van Gogh painted the bedroom 2 years before his death, and 1 year before he was committed to a mental asylum. The bedroom is most definitely a liminal space and can be compared to CGI or edited liminal spaces. Realism was clearly not Van Gogh's goal, as the painting has many rigid lines and a very awkward perspective. For me, looking at this is appealing and comforting, but the painting also conveys a certain sadness. This image is what Van Gogh saw through his very own eyes, an empty bedroom filled with lonely memories.
Wow.
However, the bedroom feels like a real place, which it ultimately was. The iceberg that sunk the Titanic. This is a very interesting looking image. The iceberg looks small in this photo, but it's about 400 feet or 121 meters long.
Jesus.
The iceberg was photographed on April 15, 1912, one day after the sinking of the ship, without the photographer actually knowing that this was the iceberg that sunk the Titanic. The man noticed some red paint on this iceberg and then later made the connection that this iceberg did in fact sunk the Titanic. There's a certain creepiness hidden inside this image. We are familiar with the fact that the iceberg is very big underneath its surface, so you do feel that uncertain paranoia when you look at this image. It is also very old and looks somewhat fake, to a point where this photo looks like a still from an old animation. Jeff Browse approaching nowhere. Jeff Browse is a photographer who likes to capture empty rural landscapes. Approaching Nowhere is a book that shows his photography, in which he shows the loneliness America contains. Browse's aesthetic is classic liminal. His images look like they're trapped in the past, stuck in a time. They're empty, lonely, but in a way nostalgic. Whether it is a
Like
gas station, a motel,
1990s
train
or
tracks, the
1980s.
feeling he's trying to communicate works. Jack Stauber's Opal. Opal is a visual and musical piece of art made by Jack Stauber that was released on Adult Swim.
Didn't that
The
release
video
like
is made with claymation and has a VHS style.
Definitely.
It follows a young girl who investigates a mysterious and possibly haunted house across her street. The video has a lot of meaning, symbolism and theories behind it, so me talking about it will never do it justice. The establishing shot of the house is a very cool looking liminal space as it looks so simple. This feels weird as we don't know what is happening inside this house. This photo is reminiscent of old claymation cartoons. R+7. R+7 is an instrumental album released by Daniel Lopatin. Its content is very interesting to say the least. Its cover art is surprisingly liminal as we see what looks to be the inside of an empty house. The house has a window, a door and a tall brick that feels like it's supposed to represent a human. We gotta get SpongeBob back. This liminal space is derived from a pretty popular SpongeBob fan animation called We Gotta Get SpongeBob Back. The animation follows Squidward, who wants to find SpongeBob. Near the end, he starts to hallucinate and ends up on this weird CGI island. This island looks very liminal, and in a way reminds me of the weird 90s CGI videos you see when you go to a bowling alley. David Lynch. David Lynch is undoubtedly one of the most important filmmakers of our time. Lynch has played around with liminal spaces long before the term was ever coined. It is especially his show Twin Peaks that contains a lot of out-of-this-world aesthetics. Twin Peaks has a so-called extra-dimensional space that contains many spirits.
Also, if I'm not wrong,
this space is either called the Red Room or the Waiting Room and consists out of infinite rooms and hallways.
But
this is probably
Twin Peaks
sounding really
also
familiar,
inspired
as this looks more and more like the
one
Backrooms
Zelda
the more you
game,
learn
if
about
I'm
it.
not wrong, right?
You can definitely say the Backrooms are inspired by the Red Room. The entrance to the Red Room is located in a forest called Glastonbury Grove, and it looks like a well. Entering this will lead you to the hallway, with red curtains as walls and a statue of Venus de Milo. Then we have the Waiting Room, a large room with the same black and white floor pattern and 3 armchairs. This is where most of the scenes set in the Red Room happen. The Red Room to me is extremely liminal. It looks very unsettling and creepy, and I might have been there in my dreams. Most of Lynch's movies have some liminality to them. He really knows how to play around with setting and lighting in the room, creating a very uncanny image. Worlds.com. Worlds.com or World Chat is an online virtual reality based chat room or MMO that was launched in 1995. This game is still alive to this day but feels pretty weird. You can visit a myriad of player created worlds and dimensions, and some of them are extremely liminal. I for one love this liminal forest as it feels like an uncanny backdrop for a video game. Worlds.com has been described as the backrooms of the internet, a looking glass in the past that is somehow still up and running. Games and apps like this are...
Yeah, by the way, this game is free. Basically, you just have to go to the website and you can play it there. So, yeah. Just wanted to let you guys know.
Artifacts,
it's
and
a
I
cool
don't
game.
think
You should
there's
try
a better
it.
way to put it than this Reddit comment. What really gets me is the idea that if reality is truly just a combination of outside stimuli, then the virtual world is every bit as meaningful as the real one. For every Minecraft world, for every empty Worlds.com world, for every abandoned Sims game, for every bit of lost data, there's a deficit in the prime reality. These images are no different than those of the Stonehenge, Machu Picchu, the Colosseum, the ruins of Crete, or the ancient city of Babylon. The only difference here is that there is no decay, leading to a strange, transcendent, dreamlike appearance. Your local Bradman. This entry refers to a video series called Purga Liminal, where the YouTube channel Your Local Bradman explores a fictional otherworldly RPG. This RPG has a lot of weird and mostly David Firth-inspired monsters, set in a very liminal space-esque room. This would be a pretty scary game, as the music combined with the graphics and aesthetics are terrifying. The rooms the player progresses in feel like good Backrooms levels, and are always filled with these weird creatures. The photos used in Umbilical Cord Guy's series Iceberg. This is a very serious iceberg. It explores very interesting topics such as humans or aliens, the hot war as opposed to the cold war, and one that's really far down, When I was a kid, I used to think that Mario was saying Mexico instead of let's go, which if you think about it makes sense.
I thought he was saying let's pickle. Let's pickle. Am I the only one? No? Let's move on.
All with all, this is a pretty good iceberg, but I'm really interested in one particular photo on the sidebar.
Let's pickle.
I like this image as it's simplistic, but still fits the theme of this weird iceberg. It's just a photo taken in a backyard, but there's something ominous about it. I feel like there might be something hiding behind that fence, something that can appear at any moment.
For us, yeah. Looks like that.
What happened to the population.jpg? It feels like another one of those weird, intriguing, and liminal album cover arts. Interestingly enough, we don't really know where this image is from or what happened to the population. The only source I can find is that this was uploaded to the Liminal Space subreddit. One way to interpret this is that this lonely block is either
Wait a sec, so this was just one day uploaded online and that's it? There is no like behind the scenes like text or something like that to explain it? Oh, that's odd.
Or an object that is left behind in the
That's
decaying
eerie.
world. If all humans were to disappear, buildings and structures would still stand, but will ultimately decay and break down. I believe that this is a visual representation of what loneliness feels like, enhanced by a title that suggests a post-apocalyptic world. Experimentum Films. Experimentum Films is a pretty unknown YouTube channel that makes weird ARG-esque videos.
Saw these
One
two
of them is Mario
SpongeBob
dancing in a
videos.
weird room, and another one is a car driving on a road in the void. His first, and presumably his best video, is called Pool, and is very reminiscing of old Pixar animations.
I don't know, I
looks
think
interesting
the
and is
SpongeBob
extremely
videos
underrated
are
in my
better than
opinion.
that.
Liminal Spaces seems to be Experimentum's aesthetic, and I believe he's onto something. Rolf Clevenger's Iceberg. Maybe not the most liminal of spaces, but I think we're all familiar with this photo.
Yeah,
This is the iceberg photo, taken by a photographer named Rolf Clevenger. This image is created by composing different images and is intended to be a work of art. The image has come a long way, especially considering this current trend that loves to use this image both in charts and thumbnails. There's something interesting about this photo, something ominous maybe. It feels real, but something feels kinda off at the same time. What Disney World would look like abandoned. This is an older YouTube video
this
released
is an
back in
old,
2010. It depicts Disney World,
an
but
old
unfortunately
concept video.
abandoned. The image looks saddening, as this is supposed to be a place full of happiness and bliss. It is fascinating to think that a scenario like this is not inherently impossible, as natural disasters such as hurricanes exist. Visiting an abandoned place like this would be extremely terrifying, as it has so many big buildings and
if I'm not wrong, there is an island of Disney's property which got abandoned by Disney, right? Like, I believe it's this one, right?
attractions. The longer a place like this is left alone, the more and more it decays. This decay will go on until you reach a point where Disney World is unrecognizable. What you've left are the ruins of an old place where many memories have been created. Time seems to be humanity's biggest enemy here.
Like, I definitely know that there's an island which got abandoned by Disney, and that's where the Mickey Mouse creepypasta came from. Like the .x mouse, or I don't know. I could be wrong, I don't know. It's an old creepypasta that was created with a photo of photo negative Mickey? I don't know.
r/chairs underwater. Chairs underwater is an amazing but niche subreddit. You might
This
wonder
again.
where the idea of posting pictures with underwater chairs came from, but it might be related to the fear and fascination for thalassophobia and submechanophobia. The one is the fear of deep bodies of water, and the other one is the fear of submerged objects or machinery. Chairs underwater look weird because, well, they don't belong there. One photo that probably spawned this trend is this photo that a diver took of a single chair at the bottom of the ocean. This image is extremely mysterious, as this chair is a type of
It
chair
actually
used in
looks
schools,
funny.
so it's very weird to find this
I
at the
don't
bottom
know,
of the
but
ocean.
it actually looks
Submerged
funny.
objects carry this weird feeling with them. Look at this scar, for instance.
That's just funny.
Dreams and nightmares that have unique liminal spaces. Liminal spaces usually feel like they're taken from your dreams. But if you think about what your dreams look like, what do you remember? Personally, I can remember exploring empty hallways, houses, castles, and offices. The liminal aesthetic is inspired by the aesthetic that most dreams carry, so all of this makes sense. If you look at art made from experience out of dreams, you will see that the art pieces like this have a lot of common with liminal spaces and liminality.
Yeah.
But are there actually liminal spaces that are unique to your own dreams? I believe so, but I also feel like most of the spaces would be inspired by things you've seen online or in the real world. Our brains are familiar with different architectural structures and concepts because we're used to seeing them. Recreating them would not be a problem, so I think this is definitely possible. Other unknown liminal space image origins. Liminality seems to be a style of image that remains vastly underexplored. There are undoubtedly a lot of liminal spaces that have yet to be found or identified, as the possibility for them seems almost endless. What is fun about this concept is that there are a lot of images that remain unidentified, and finding out where these photos come from is always interesting. Take the lobby for instance. So many people have searched for its origin, but it remains a mystery to this day. Truth is that a lot of these photos are liminal because of their mysterious nature. It looks familiar, feels familiar, but you've never actually been in that exact place.
Yeah.
And of course, most of these places do not even exist. Many of these photos have been made with CGI, created in Blender, or have been heavily photoshopped. Liminal? Wow, we actually went through the entire thing. Thank you all so much for watching all the way through the end, it really means the most. I will be working on another video, so be sure to subscribe if you want to find out what that's all about. I hope you have a great night, and I will see you later.
So I had a lot of fun watching this, and I hope you did as well. Please go down and subscribe to CreepyDemon and subscribe to me as well. But especially CreepyDemon, I had a lot of fun actually watching his content here, his video, and yeah. Without ado, I'm gonna end this one here, guys. If you like this video, then please like and subscribe, especially to CreepyDemon, since he deserves this more. And yeah, I see you in the next video then. Bye bye.